store for Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets. I couldn't wait to see how this one would go down. But remember, the Timberwolves were down several players here. No Karl Anthony Towns, no Rudy Gobert, no Naz Reid. So Anthony Edwards, who is all of 6'4", is taking this jump ball
heart over height
against Nikola Jokic. And they showed a whole lot of heart, Kendrick Perkins, in this game, particularly Ant.
And look, when you asked, is he going to play or he was questionable, we was like, Wendy was like, oh, he's playing because that's what he brings to the table night in and night out. But team whack body, Jokic. Look at what he did last night. He stood on business. He had it on his mind. He wasn't looking to facilitate. He did what he was supposed to do, and that was dominate offensively at all aspects, being aggressive, especially without Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns in the middle to stop it.
22 points, 10 rebounds in the first half. No assists, though. That was a little bit of a rarity for Nikola.
For who? For
Going
what?
ahead to the third quarter here, though. Questionable coming in. Didn't look questionable here, Shanae.
You know the movie The Greatest Showman? Right now in the NBA, this is, thank you, of course you knew that. If it's a musical, it's going to be Malika Andrews' favorite show. But this right here is The Greatest Showman right now, the second half of the NBA season. His ability to play through the dislocated finger. I mean, read defenses. That's Jokic with the pump fake all the way to the step through. He makes you believe no matter who is missing, I'm still going to bring my team every night to compete.
I love that energy, too. He had 14 points in the third. The Nuggets had 17 points total. But Brian Windhorst, you decided that sometime in the fourth quarter when the Nuggets were cruising, eventually getting up to an 8-point lead, you decided that it was okay to turn off the final seconds of this game?
I did regret it because the Nuggets won.
There you go. Well, it came down to the wire a little more than we thought it would. Nikola Jokic, the Sombor sling, in shot form this time. Final seconds, though, here. Huge three-pointer here from Jaden McDaniels to really give the Timberwolves a chance here down the stretch. The final seconds here, the Nuggets going to foul? Are they going to foul? No? Anthony Edwards gets a shot off?
Oh!
Wouldn't quite get it to go. Now the Minnesota Timberwolves are one game behind the Nuggets for the second seed in the Western Conference. Oh, man. Just a front rim off. With a win percentage, though, just shy of 700, the Nuggets are on pace to win 4 more games than they did last regular season, which is pretty incredible because, of course, they went on to win it all that year. They also have slightly better both offensive and defensive numbers than last year, which is a little bit scary. We haven't seen repeat champions in the last 5 years, but I really think that Denver is looking like the team that maybe could put all of that to rest. But Perk, are this year's Nuggets, are they better than last year's championship team?
They are. They are. And it's because of the starting five, and it's the pieces around Jamal Murray and Jokic. And it's Michael Porter Jr. Over the last 5 games, he's averaging a dub. And last night was a prime example of fourth quarter minutes, right? And he had those timely three-point shots, this dunk at the rim, snatching the screws out the basket. He finally looks healthy. We have to remember, when this kid was coming out of high school and when he was in college, he was the #1 player in the country. It was just injuries that slowed him down, but now we're seeing him more comfortable. Michael Malone has more faith in him. Like, he's taking these shots in the crucial moments of the game. And it's like, soon as I thought Minnesota was going to run away with this game once they got the league, I'm like, no. Here come Jokic, and here come a little sprinkle of Michael Porter Jr.
Right, but it's still pretty incredible to think that the Minnesota Timberwolves, on the second night of a back-to-back, were putting in that type of work against the defending champs. Because despite the losses we mentioned, the Wolves are still just a game out of first. 2 more matchups to go against the Denver Nuggets left on the schedule. You can look here. Minnesota was shorthanded, of course, last night, the second night of a back-to-back. Still, they were 1 shot away from sending this to overtime against the defending champions. So, Shanae, of any of the teams in the Western Conference, do you think that Minnesota is the biggest threat to the Nuggets?
Absolutely, because they were built, when healthy, by design to rival the Nuggets, and they have the ability. I mean, we're talking about a night where they're missing a number of their stars, but they still had heart, and that heart came from Anthony Edwards. And so, to me, this Timberwolves team, I know the Clippers, maybe if it was a month ago, I would say, oh, it's absolutely the Los Angeles Clippers. Based off of their defensive prowess, based off of the next steps that we have been witnessing with that guy right there, the greatest showman currently in the NBA, this is the team that I would be most worried about when fully healthy, because their offense may not be perfect. I believe Karl Anthony Towns fully unlocks it, especially as a stretch big, but they're long, and they can compete with the best of the best. We just saw that yesterday. Now, the Nuggets have always been the favorites for me. I know they've been a little bit slow starting the season. season, but we all knew that if they were able to continue what they had, they would still be favorites, but they've actually gotten better. That's the truth of the matter. I mean, Jamal Murray was coming off last season, an injury season. Now he's just completely comfortable, and you nailed it, Perk. Michael Porter Jr. When I watched the Nuggets play in person, he was the one that blew me off the floor. 6'10", able to shoot. I mean, it just feels like they have refined their weapons, and they go with what they know, and what they know is that they're a team that can compete when they turn the lights on after All-Star break.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Denver's still the favorite in the West. I think they are the best team in the NBA. Even with Boston's record and what they put in the regular season, I've seen Denver reach a different level when they get to the playoffs, especially when they have adversity. They have the the best player in the NBA plays on their team. It's just the bottom line. He's the best player. He's the most efficient player, and he's a guy that dominates the game, not just through scoring, but using the assets around him. I do love the emergence of Michael Porter Jr. With that being said, do I think they're better than last year? I don't. I don't think they're better. I think the loss of Bruce Brown and Jeff Green is vastly underrated. I love P. Watt. He's a young, talented player. I think he's going to be big for them in the future. But I think Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, their playing experience, playoff experience, guys who have played on playoff teams, when it comes to the playoffs, it's going to hurt. This is a team that got 13 bench points last night. They don't get a lot from the bench scoring. Bruce Brown used to have 18 himself in playoff games. Jeff Green would come in and have a huge impact. I love Michael Porter Jr.'s health. I love how he's playing. I love how he's shooting the ball. I'm happy. That's one of my best friends. But I don't believe in terms of the overall team, I think there's a little bit more vulnerability to this team, especially when we see last night, case in point, first off, they just lost to Dallas. And then we just saw them lost to a Minnesota team without their two bigs. Minnesota has been built to compete against this team by the same guy who built Denver, by the way. Tim Connelly. So I think, all in all, I love Denver as a favorite, but they're definitely more vulnerable this year. And I think teams can compete, Clippers included. I know they're a mess right now, but yeah.
This game actually showed their vulnerability a little bit, because I actually think Minnesota probably walked away from this game not feeling so bad about itself.
No.
They got crushed on the boards, but because they were missing all their bigs.
Sure.
This was a game all the way down to the last second, on the second night of a back-to-back, and they found some schemes defensively that gave Denver a little bit of problem. You know, Jokic only had 2 assists in this game. Now, they obviously still shot over 50%. They still won the game. Good job. But Denver has some vulnerabilities. Another thing is just their rebounding off the bench. They don't have great size.
Why do you look so confused, Kendrick?
Well, because they're vulnerable on the road, but they're not vulnerable at home. And right now, the Denver Nuggets, especially with their record, they're looking like they're going to have home court advantage throughout the postseason. So if we're talking about their lack of experience or lack of depth for as their youth on the bench, I'm not worried about that. Those guys are going to play better at the crib. And I said this at the beginning of the season. I said it would be wise if the Western Conference, if teams in the Western Conference would keep the Denver Nuggets from having that #1 seed. That is going to matter. They are an exceptional team at the crib.
Sorry, Malika, home playoff advantage through the West, but the NBA Finals through Boston.
They season swept them. They swept them.
Okay.
The road through the West, the road to the championship, it still goes through Denver. But the fact.
Hey, what's up, guys? Jag from Jaggy Sports here. Let's talk about the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets, you know, they are damn good. Can they repeat? You know, quite frankly, it looks like they can, because last night, Joker, 35 points, 16 rebounds. That's not the story at all. It is, but also you have Michael Porter Jr. This guy's killing it. 20 points per game average in the month of March. He's shooting 48% from 3. This guy is just killing it right now, and rightfully so. Everything seems to be clicking on all cylinders for the Denver Nuggets. You know, they are number 2 in the Western Conference and only behind the OKC Thunder. And I know a lot of people are thinking like, holy crap, like OKC Thunder, they got it going on. But Denver is making a strong push, like a strong push to get #1 by the end of the season, which is pretty much less than a month away. Now, can Denver repeat? That's the question. I had an interesting conversation with James, who I met yesterday, and he is a Celtic fan. He's from Boston, and he pretty much said it. Boston like everybody else is saying it, Boston is actually doing fairly well, as everyone can see. They're top of the league right now. They're absolutely killing it as well. However, when it comes time to the playoffs, can Jason Tatum actually come down in the clutch, right? Because we saw Miami have their number, and you never know with Milwaukee, even though I think Boston still can come out on top of in that matchup. But can Philly actually make a push, right? Because Joel Embiid is set to return at the end of the month. I don't know if anyone knew that, but he's set to return by the end of the month. And it's a battle of who can last in the Eastern Conference. And I was explaining to James there that, you know, ever since they got Drew Holiday, they're just unreal. Like, I get it, Kristaps Porzingis, that was awesome trade. But the second they got Drew Holiday, it kind of separated them from the entire league, because Drew Holiday is the most underrated defensive player, I think, because, you know, everybody saw what he did for Milwaukee. I don't know why they made that trade for Dame Lillard, right? I know everybody's thinking Dame time, and it comes down in the clutch. But if you think about it, Drew Holiday is what you need, and Boston has him. So my question to you guys is, you know, you have Denver. Denver is elite. I don't know if there's anyone in the Western Conference that can beat Denver. Clippers have been starting to come down a bit, but, you know, they're not healthy, so we can't really make a judgment on that case. Then you have sleeper teams like the Pelicans. Pelicans are doing fairly well. Zion is just, you know, clicking on all cylinders. Same with Ingram. Same with CJ McCollum. Herb Jones is a very good player, by the way. Then you got Dallas. Dallas, ever since they got that trade, I think his name is Daniel Gafford. Ever since they got him, they've been on a tear as well. So does Dallas make a push? So there's a lot of teams out there that can actually challenge teams like Denver and teams like Boston. But at the end of the day, who do you see in the NBA Finals? You know, the obvious answer to everyone is Denver versus Boston. That's what everybody's talking about. But there could be slight, you know, power play rankings going up, maybe coming down. We don't know. Injuries might happen. We don't know. God forsake that actually happens, or God forbid that actually happens. But, you know, at the end of the day, if the playoffs started right now, who would you pick? You know, who would you pick to be in the Eastern Conference Final? Who would you pick to be in the Western Conference Final? Who you got coming out, you know, facing each other in the NBA Finals? I think everyone can say, not everyone, but majority of the people are saying that it's going to be Boston versus the Denver Nuggets. Now, can the Boston Celtics reach another milestone in their championship history and get another one if they can beat Joker? But Joker, along with Michael Porter Jr., along with Jamal Murray, along with the bench and whatnot, they can actually get it done, right? Can they? I don't know, right? You guys be the judge. Leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you guys think actually is going to happen, what you might think is going to happen. You know, is it that Denver Nuggets come out in the Western Conference Finals? Is it Boston Celtics going to come out in the Eastern Conference Finals? What other teams can challenge them? If you took a look at last night's game, I know Minnesota didn't have all their stars. They didn't have Rudy Gobert. They didn't have the big cat. They didn't have those guys, right? And still, they made it a game. But Joker is just, there's no one that I think can guard this guy. But, you know, there could be an upset here and there. You be the judge. Leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you guys think. Who can beat the Denver Nuggets and who can beat the Boston Celtics? Leave a comment in the comment section. As always, this is Jag from Jaggy Sports.